Good morning. I like a podium. And I'm glad I didn't bring any slides, right? But I do love the talk about branding because we're all building brands, right? And I think I'm gonna get this to stay up here. Just one moment. Okay, so yes, we're all building brands and we're all trying to build them in different ways. I think a lot of things here are social media. I'm building brands with brick and mortar. I'm talking building brands with our restaurant, Beer Barrel Pizza and Grill, branching out an hour from Lima in each direction, trying to build a brand by how many people know of it, how many people enjoy it. I'm gonna take this out of here and just talk. So, so we're always building brands, and you know, I've dealt with literally thousands, right, Andrew Fox back there? Back in the early 90s, mid 90s, I've dealt with thousands of young people in town that have worked for me over the years. And I even talked to them about building their own brand as a young person. People are watching, building a brand. How are you coming to work? Are you taking care of your hygiene? Do you come to work on a timely fashion? Do you, when you're here, are you looking for things to do, or are you standing around? Because people are watching, right? People are watching. Young people are building their own brand, what they're going to do with their lives and how people look at them. Are they looking at you as undependable, lazy, sloppy? Or are they looking at you as a sharp young person who's got ambition, who's showing up on time, who has great customer service skills? I learned that at a young age because I opened my first restaurant in downtown Lima in 1980. I was 20 years old, and I had worked in restaurants. And I learned that at a young age because I opened up my first restaurant in Lima's skyscraper downtown, which is now the Chase Bank. It was the Tower National Bank back in the 80s. And I had the lobby on both sides of the bank. I had John's Tower Cafe, and it was open for breakfast and lunch. And I had a little ice cream parlor on the other side of the lobby. And almost every banker, every lawyer, every attorney that was in Lima was in that building, or at least a block away from me. And when they came in, I had chef pants on. I was like a little Manhattan deli in downtown Lima, and people were taking notice. And I noticed that. I'm like, man, all these people, I'm going to need these folks someday, along the way. So I'm going to try to impress them. And here I am, 44 years later. Many of those people have left us and are gone. But over the years, so many of those influential people in town are just folks that were secretaries and tellers at the bank and stuff. Those relationships I made 44 years ago have been so beneficial to me over the past 4 decades. And so I tell young people all the time, do your best, look your best, be your sharpest, because people are paying attention. And I still go back to that bank deli or little restaurant, coffee shop that I had, and how those 6 or 7 years that I was in that bank lobby really planted so many great relationships in my hometown that came full circle for me over the years, for lending, for legal advice, to grow, and so. Many great relationships. But hey, I'm here this morning. I've been invited to speak. And I think I get invited to speak quite a bit around town. And I think it's not because I'm a genius about anything. I think that my story is kind of a fun story of success and failures over the years. It's a fun story of this young guy that was born in 1960 on South Union Street on the south end of Lima. That never went to college, had a rough time in high school, but I had a lot of ambition and I had dreams. And through the years, I followed them and cultivated those and worked hard, had a lot of resiliency. I'd fail and wipe myself off, and I was determined to push on. And I think that story in itself is interesting to people. And I've told it many times, so if you're hearing it again here this morning, I apologize, but we're gonna trail that right into other parts of this, but just to give you a short idea, I grew up on the south side of Lima. I am the grandson of Italian immigrants who came to this town in 1922, who set up on South Union Street where most of the Italian immigrants were coming to Lima. They all migrated around St. John's Catholic Church down on the south end of town. So Union Street at the time was predominantly Italian families and mostly all related. And so it was a neat environment. My mother was born on South Union Street in 1930. My siblings were born on South Union Street in the 50s, and I was born there in 1960. And I think the fact that I am the grandson of Italian immigrants who came to this country with nothing, to Lima, Ohio for work, because if you know the history of Lima, it was a boom town in the late 1800s and the first half of the 1900s. And there were so much jobs. There was oil, there was railroads, there was locomotives being built, there was steel foundries, there was automotive happening, there was the refinery, which the Lima refinery, when it started, is today the longest contiguously operating oil refinery in North America, and I think that's something this town should be proud of. But there was so much work, and so that's how my grandparents came through Ellis Island, and the word was, head west to Lima, Ohio. Could you imagine? Head west to Lima, Ohio, there's work. And here we are, 100 years later, still here in Lima, Ohio. So I think that's been a driving factor in my passion about this hometown of ours, that my grandparents came here for the American dream with nothing, and their grandson has been able to make an impact, and that's meaningful to me and continues to be meaningful to me, and honestly becomes more meaningful the older I get. I got married in 1983. My wife and I have been together for the 41 years, and we have 4 children and 7 grandkids, and all 4 of my kids they don't all live in Lima, but they're all involved in our company. So from there, we grew up with a lot of love, a lot of great food, a lot of fun, but not much money, right? Very humble. My mother grew up extremely, I don't want to say poor in today's world, but didn't have a lot of the nicer things in life. And she, as loving, as compassionate as she was with us 4 kids and 3 boys, there wasn't much money. My father was a plumber. My mother stayed home and took care of the house, the old school thing, right? And when we needed some spending money, she would look at us, and this has always stuck with me. She would say, "We're covering all of your needs. Your wants, you're going to have to figure it out." She says, "Necessity is the mother of all invention," right? We've all heard that statement before. If you want to go to the movies, if you want to go blow $20, you got to go find a way to make it. And that's what we did. And so when I was 14, 50 years ago, I began selling sandwiches on the east side of Lima when they were building the Eastgate Shopping Center, and I-75 worked there. And even that summer, I had the state of Ohio truck that would come pick me up and drive me up and down 75 to other work projects. And I thought, this is pretty cool. I think it really triggered my entrepreneurship in me. And I thought, this is pretty cool. I'm walking down to AMP down here, the old grocery store. I'm spending $20 for lunch meat and chicken and some groceries, and I'm turning it into $60 and $80 a day. I said, this is pretty great, So kind of triggered my interest in becoming an entrepreneur. I went to Lima Central Catholic and honestly made all-city football my junior year, offensive lineman, and I quit playing football my senior year because I got into the county fair business selling meatball sandwiches. That's pretty weird, right? But I really enjoyed it, and I am so fortunate that for 50 years, I have loved what I've done. And I think that's part of, of being a fun life as an entrepreneur and a business person when you really enjoy it. You know, and I love to be around people, and I love the public, and so it's been a blessing. From there, I got into the Tower Bank business at the coffee shop there. In 1980, I leased the space, and there was an existing restaurant in there that was for sale, the equipment and furniture for $17,500. I had $2,500 to put down, and interest rates were 21.5% on the other 15. So we complain about 7% interest today. Historically speaking, it's still pretty doggone low compared to the 80s and 90s when interest rates were. But that got my start, and I was 20, and from there, things just started popping, probably too quick. I wound up out in Shawnee in 1984 on the corner of Breese and Shawnee Road with a steakhouse. And I opened up the White Birch Inn and became a pretty nice steakhouse on the south end of town out in Shawnee. Had the first liquor license ever voted into Shawnee Township. And I opened up the original Elmview Pub. There's still an Elmview Pub in Elmview. And that was in the back of the building. In the later years, it became the Beef and Bourbon and the Twist and Shout, that building. And then I opened up a couple sub shops in town, one on Shawnee Road and one out in Northland Plaza called Chubb's Deli Subs. So I had a couple delicatessens. I used to leave my restaurant downtown and walk around downtown in the afternoon just to get a break. And we were cleaning grills and cleaning fryers and all the mess that comes with that kind of stuff. And I'd walk by Joey's Sub Shop, and they had a little automatic meat slicer, slicing meat, vegetables, no fryers, no grills. And I'm like, man, one of these days I'm going to open up. And that was before Subways really came around and stuff. So went through that. Went to work for Gordon Food Service when they first came into Ohio and left Michigan for about a 7-year stint. Doing sales for Gordon Food Service, and then got into the Happy Days business in the 90s, grew that to 6 locations, got into the Beer Barrel, bought that in 2005, and we just opened up our 11th location in Van Wert. We've got a couple more heading south. My goal before I really turn things over, my son is now the president of the company, but our goal was to get an hour north, an hour west, an hour while we're in Columbus with 4 locations, but and then head south. So we're now heading south down I-75. And that's building a brand. That's building a restaurant brand, because I feel building our brand is with brick and mortar. We have to build buildings and hire a lot of people to do that. But we're still trying to build the brand that many, many people are aware of and like and deliver. And like what he had said, the speaker right before me, is that, you can build a brand and tout it all you want and run advertisements and commercials, but the proof is still in the pudding. People got to come in and they have to enjoy what we do and enjoy our product. So we work hard at that all of the time to do that. I tell our management team at all the restaurants, we can spend $1 million a year on TV and radio and social media and marketing, getting our brand out there. But it's really meant to get that first-time customer in our door. And if we blow it when they show up, we've wasted our money, right? So, we can market ourselves and brand ourselves as being the greatest ever. But it's still, when people walk in the door, we got to deliver on that promise. So there was so much truth in his speech that he was talking about. But, today it's about roots and relationships, community, and to me, meaningful development. And that is, and all of these things, like I said, have become more and more important to me the older that I get. My roots, my relationships that I've built over the years, my community, my hometown of Lima, Ohio that I love, and putting my time into developments and projects that mean more to me than a ROI. There's a lot more to an ROI than money. Money's important. We don't want to lose any, and I don't want to jeopardize our future doing crazy developments just because they mean something to me. But they really do. I think at this point in my life, I'm going to spend my time and my resources cautiously and optimistically on things that have more meaning to me than simply the bottom line. And so that's what Spring and Main is downtown, and that's what my efforts in downtown Lima have been Over the years, we all end up being mentored in one way or another by experiences or people that we meet. I've had the good fortune of meeting and experiencing some things that, when I look back, have really impacted this part of my life that I'm doing meaningful things in. One is my experience in 1990. I went to work for this little food service company that was just up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and serviced the whole state of Michigan, Gordon Food Service, which now is the world's largest, still family-owned, independent food distributor. And they're coast to coast in Canada and almost coast to coast in the United States. And the most wonderful Christian, caring, loving family you could ever meet still own it privately, so they can decide what they do with their money instead of stockholders deciding what they do with their money. And they do beautiful things with their money that have a lot of meaning to them. But one thing that I experienced in the years that I started going, when I was in the restaurant business, I started to go to Grand Rapids, Michigan because of the Gordon Food Service people before I went to work for them. And when I first arrived in downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan in 1989, 1988, it was a boarded up Midwestern downtown like we've seen throughout the years and what we witnessed in Lima, Ohio through the 80s and 90s. Downtown Grand Rapids was really affected by the exodus to the suburbs and to the malls and the globalization of jobs and industry, just like Lima, Ohio was. But what I witnessed over the years up there, over the next 2 decades, were the families that owned businesses that had roots in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm going to name a few of them for you. The Meyer family, the Meyer stores. It started as Thrifty Acres in Grand Rapids on 28th Street. And Fred Meyer and his siblings and now their children, just really have funneled a lot of their private resources into downtown. The botanical gardens, the DeVos family. People used to laugh at Amway, people selling Amway. You go up to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and look what the Amway, the DeVos family has invested into Grand Rapids, Michigan. The Gordon family. Steelcase Furniture is based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Those business people got together and they said, listen, we are going to form a relationship with the public sector, us being the private sector. We're going to form a relationship with the public sector, and together we're going to put vision. Not all politicians or people that are elected to run our communities have a lot of vision. They're great administrators. They can handle our safety services. Every once in a while we're lucky and we have some that get elected that have vision. But I think sometimes it takes entrepreneurs to blend their thoughts with politicians and local authorities, to develop a vision for a city. And man, I witnessed that in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I thought to myself, someday if I'm ever in the position financially or influentially enough to have gained people's trust, my integrity with people, with city, with the county, if I can ever start helping to help downtown Lima. Now trust me, I am not up here saying that I am the wizard who has turned around downtown Lima, because there are a lot of people working on it. There are a lot of people in good positions that have opened things. The Walter family has redone the old Met Bank, what the Nelsons have done at the Met. I could go on and on about things that are happening. The Central Business District, the Rotary Club with the amphitheater, over the years, the hotel and the vision to build the Civic Center. So there's many things in the past 2 decades that have influenced that. But I just feel passionate, and I've lived long enough in this town to see when things were good and when things got bad. And now it's really wonderful to see things get good again, starting to come around with some quality of life things, a new community pool, the amphitheater, some culture downtown, the great shows that come to the Civic Center. Because back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, Lima was a city of almost 70,000 people because of all those industrial jobs that we had. And when places like Excello and the Lima Locomotive Works and Clark Equipment and all of those big factories left the country or moved elsewhere, so did a lot of the residents. So and along with that, so did a lot of our businesses, and downtown buildings became vacant. And so Lima had its glory days with really, really boomtown, when all the buildings downtown were built in the 20s and early 1900s. There was big financial institutions based out of Lima that went regionally, and some went almost across the country. That was like a vacuum sucking money back to Lima, Ohio, that could be reinvested into projects and things like that. And when we're on Facebook, when we're watching, all the pictures of the glory days of all the wonderful things that happened in Lima, you think, man, can't we change this image that we can't do those beautiful things, or that we can't grow? So I think what's happening is that we're, together, the private sector and the public sector are working together, because I think how important it is to beautify the heart of our county. We used to tell people to go back in their neighborhoods and plant signs that say "Plant Pride" in their yards, and then they come downtown and it doesn't look good. So I think we start in the heart of our city, we continue to beautify it, and I think that's contagious. It'll spread. I want to just touch on the meaningful development part of it, because at this point, the Spring and Main project is going to open Monday. I'm a little hoarse because we've been training 130 new employees all this week, and I've been talking a lot, explaining menus and explaining a lot of new things happening downtown. But when I look at this project, several things come to mind. I did make a tribute to my grandparents with No-No's Cellar in the basement. That had a lot of meaning to me. I tell the story of them coming to Lima, Ohio, why they came here. I brought back a legendary brand that closed after COVID, the Casa Luau, the Venturella family. We're bringing back that. That had a lot of meaning to me. John and Tony are excited about it. We renovated 2 historic buildings in downtown Lima. One that I've looked at for years, the Blattner building was built, the Blattner department store, the big building was built in 1926, opened in 1927 as a department store, and really has a rich history over the years of how that came to be and the people who built it. And for the past 2 decades, it sits across from our economic development on Main Street in downtown Lima and across from our Chamber of Commerce, boarded up. What kind of message is that, right? We're bringing people to town to talk to them about our city, and one of the prized buildings and Memorial Hall's all boarded up. 2 of our prized buildings, sat within eyesight of our economic development offices and Chamber of Commerce, boarded up. So I'm really proud that we were able to renovate these 2 buildings. The other building was built in 1907 and has a lot of significance to the Black community in Lima. The first African-American dentist and physician operated in that building. He also became one of the early civil rights leaders in Lima, Ohio, through the 50s. And then it became a gathering spot as a nightclub for many years for the Black community, as the Skyline, and then into Callahan's. So that had a lot of historic value to the community also. That had a lot of meaning to me. The fact that we're bringing vibrancy downtown, when I looked at the amphitheater and the Civic Center on this 100-block stretch of Spring Street, I thought, man, how cool would it be to make this like a beautiful archway pedestrian plaza that could be shut down at any time and have a festival, make it a public space. The city came in with almost $1.5 million to beautify that street with a new streetscape, with new lighting, and then we did the bistro lights and the arch, and that had a lot of meaning because it was a quality of life improvement, I think, to downtown. So to me, and let alone that we've employed 130 people with new jobs, has a lot of meaning to me, and so I'm very proud of it. So we hope that you'll stop down. I'm going to close by telling you that I know most of you are entrepreneurs, right? In one way or another, or working in social media. The rewards after all these years, and trust me, I've had failures. And when I was in my late 20s, I went through bankruptcy. I had a family, I had 3 young kids, lost our home, and I just leveraged myself too deep on high interest rates at a young age. I loved to cook, I loved to entertain people. I wasn't the brightest when it came to handling money yet, so you live and learn. But the rewards, I think, of being an entrepreneur over the years and the success, the rewards and the accolades that come with it are fantastic, and I feel blessed for that. But I've also had to come to terms with the commitment and the load that comes with it. We now employ over 1,200 people. We have properties across Allen County and across central Ohio and like I said, an hour up town that need constant maintenance and care. We've made commitments to the city, to a lot of people. There's just a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication that comes with owning a business and growing a business. And there was times in my life, especially the restaurant business, and is that Andy out there? Yeah, yeah. The restaurant business, the entertainment business, we're working when the rest of the public wants to have fun, right, Andy? And that becomes a real drain on family time. So there's been times over my life that as happy as I've been with the growth, that I wake up some mornings over the years when I was younger and almost like I'm at a battle with myself, I want to keep doing this business and growing it, but man, it's really demanding. And about 10 years ago, I came, especially after I opened Old City Prime Steakhouse, and I was going back to work every Friday and Saturday night again after I didn't have to do that for a while. And I just came to terms with that entrepreneurship has its rewards. It also comes with a lot of work and a lot of responsibility. So I just decided that I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to wage that war anymore. I'm just going to happily engage with it. And it's been a great decision that I've made because I no longer struggle with, my time restraints or waking up every morning with a full plate of responsibilities that need tackled. I try to do it with a good attitude, and I try to do it with pleasure in my mind, that I enjoy it and want to embrace it. It's made it so much easier. So thank you for your time. I know I'm there. I gotta call this off, but good luck to all of you. And I'm not a big tech person, so I don't know. Thank goodness I have an IT department and a social media department because I'm not the best at that. But I know it sure is the future. And I just told my wife this morning. I said we made a little infomercial early in the week, and it got posted on Facebook yesterday. I woke up this morning, and I do a lot of TV commercials, and you rarely get much feedback about that. But I woke up this morning, I had 12 text messages from people texting me that they watched the video and they were excited. And I looked down, it had been viewed 31,000 times. And I'm like, how in the world? So thank you for all what you do. Have a nice rest of your day here, everybody. Thank you.